Imagine this. An hour from now, you walk away with a mind so sharp, so unshakable, that no temptation, no distraction, no chaos can touch you. Picture yourself moving through life with the calm of a warrior, the focus of a monk, and the strength of someone who cannot be broken. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Yet this was the daily reality of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. Men who faced war, slavery, betrayal, even plagues, yet never lost control of themselves. Now ask yourself, why isn't this your reality? Why do you wake up with good intentions but end the day scrolling, drifting, wasting time you swore you wouldn't waste? Is the enemy really the world outside? Or is it your own lack of discipline inside? Here's the truth that cuts deep. Most people are not defeated by fate, but by themselves. They don't lack time, they waste it. They don't lack strength, they scatter it. They hand their peace to traffic, to a rude comment, to a craving as if they have no choice. But you do have a choice. And every choice either makes you stronger or weaker. Think of it like this. The undisciplined live like leaves in the wind, tossed around by every storm. But the disciplined, they are the mountain the storm breaks against. They don't chase comfort, approval, or ease. They master themselves, and in doing so, they master life. Self-discipline is not a gift. It is not luck. It is a weapon. And like any weapon, it is forged through fire, through repetition, through choosing what's hard over what's easy, brick by brick, choice by choice, until one day you look back and realize you are free. So if you feel that hunger, if you are tired of drifting, tired of weakness, tired of being pulled by impulses you can't control, then listen closely. This is not just another video to entertain you. This is a training ground, a challenge, a call to rise above. Here's the warning. If you don't rule yourself, something else will. Your cravings, your anger, your fears, even other people. And that should terrify you. But if you choose to walk the Stoic path, if you choose discipline over impulse, you can build a life that no storm can shake. And if you're ready to start this journey, make a small promise right now. Like this video. If you're committed to rising above distraction, share it with someone who needs to reclaim their focus, and subscribe to join a community of minds dedicated to unshakable self-discipline. If you feel that hunger to rise above distraction, stay with me till the end. Your transformation begins here. Your path to mastery begins now. Number 1. Forge self-discipline like a weapon. Imagine holding a sword forged from fire and intention, a weapon so precise, so unyielding, that every strike lands exactly where it should. Now, imagine that weapon is your own self-discipline. Every choice you make, every habit you cultivate, every action you take becomes a strike toward mastery over your mind, your body, and your life. This is the reality that the Stoics practiced daily. They knew that self-discipline is not a gift or luck. It is a weapon, and like any weapon, it must be forged with fire, repetition, and deliberate effort. Ask yourself, how often do you let life wield you rather than wielding your own life? How many moments have slipped away while you waited for motivation, for inspiration, for the right moment to act? The truth is uncomfortable, yet liberating. Self-discipline cannot be wished into existence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Every moment of delay, every surrender to comfort, every excuse is a moment you hand your weapon to someone or something else. Think of your life like a battlefield. Distractions, temptations, and fleeting pleasures are enemies that surround you on all sides. They do not attack with swords or arrows. They attack with subtlety. A notification here, a craving there, a moment of indecision. They erode your attention, your energy, your momentum. Without self-discipline, you are unarmed, vulnerable, and reactive. But with it, you wield a weapon that cuts through chaos, that deflects distraction, that creates space for purpose and progress. Now consider this. How many times have you promised yourself action, only to let excuses win? How often have you delayed the work that mattered most, waiting for motivation that never came? Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." The weapon of discipline is forged in this very tension, knowing what you must become and taking action even when the path is difficult. It is built through repetition, through showing up when no one is watching, through choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. Picture it. Each day, each act of commitment hones your weapon. Waking early to write, to exercise, to reflect, to learn, these are the hammer blows. Facing fear, confrontation, rejection, or discomfort, these are the fires that temper the steel of your resolve. Small victories compound. Weakness gives way to strength. Hesitation transforms into confidence, and slowly, imperceptibly at first, but unmistakably over time, you become unshakable. Ask yourself, are you wielding your own weapon or letting distractions chip away at it? Are you choosing habits that fortify your mind and character, or habits that dull your edge and scatter your energy? Discipline, like any weapon, requires practice, intention, and courage. It is not something you can borrow from someone else, nor something the world grants freely. It is claimed, forged, and maintained by you alone. The Stoics remind us, self-mastery is freedom. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Each act of self-discipline is a strike in the war for your life. Every habit, every choice, every refusal of comfort is an investment in power, in resilience, in the unshakable version of yourself. Without it, you're at the mercy of impulses, moods, and circumstance. With it, you are the master of your destiny, armed for any challenge life throws your way. Start today. Begin forging your weapon. Choose the hard over the easy. Face discomfort, rejection, and resistance with resolve. Build your habits deliberately, strike your weaknesses with persistence, and temper your mind in the fires of action. Every day, brick by brick, strike by strike, your weapon grows sharper, stronger, unstoppable. And one day, you will look back and realize the unshakable strength you desired was never given. It was forged by you. Number 2. Commit to action despite weakness. Imagine the moment when your body is exhausted, your mind foggy, and your motivation has vanished. You know what you should do. Write that page, make that call, train your body, meditate, take that next step toward your goal. But everything inside you screams, "Not today. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow." This is weakness. It is human, inevitable, unavoidable. And yet, it is in these moments that your character is forged, your discipline tested, and your life determined. Marcus Aurelius, writing in the quiet of the early morning, reminded himself, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. Action in the face of weakness is the crucible of growth. Ask yourself, how often have you let weakness dictate your day? How many mornings, afternoons, or nights have slipped by because you waited to feel strong, inspired, or ready? The truth is, the world does not wait for your readiness. It does not care for your comfort, your mood, or your excuses. Life moves relentlessly. Challenges arrive unannounced, and opportunities do not linger. Seneca warned, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Weakness tempts you to delay, to doubt, to avoid. Courage, the discipline to act despite weakness, turns difficulty into mastery. Think of it like this. A river does not wait for calm waters to flow. It moves regardless of storms, rocks, or obstacles. You too must flow even when your energy falters, even when your mind complains. Each act of courage, choosing to begin, to continue, to persevere despite weakness, is a vote for the version of yourself you want to become. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery is built in the moments you act when doing nothing would be easier, safer, or more comfortable. Now consider your internal dialogue when weakness rises. Do you give in, shrink, and retreat? Or do you recognize it, acknowledge it, and still move forward? The Stoics understood that feelings are neither instructions nor truths. They are signals. Weakness signals discomfort, resistance, or fear. But it does not command surrender. To commit to action despite weakness is to rise above impulse and emotion, to affirm that your choices are stronger than your moods, and to prove to yourself that your will is greater than your excuses. Ask yourself, if you acted one small step today despite your weakness, what ripple effect would it have? One email sent, one page written, one task completed, one honest conversation had. Each small action compounds into momentum, confidence, and clarity. James Clear, in his Modern Reflections on Habits, writes, "Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become." Choosing action in weakness is a vote for courage, integrity, and resilience. Picture the mountain climber halfway up a sheer cliff, trembling from fatigue. Every muscle ache, every breath burns, every thought urge retreat. Yet they move hand over hand, foot by foot, not because they feel strong, but because the summit matters more than comfort. So it is with life. Your goals, your character, your growth, these are your summit. Weakness is merely the fire that tempers your resolve, the test that proves your commitment. The solution is practice, not perfection. Start with one deliberate act each day, done despite fatigue, doubt, or hesitation. Reflect on it. Let it teach you that your limits are not commands, but challenges. Over time, these repeated choices build fortitude. Eventually, acting despite weakness becomes not extraordinary, it becomes identity. You become someone who does not wait for strength. You become strength itself. Discomfort, fatigue, hesitation, doubt, these are constants in life. How you respond defines everything. Choose action, choose persistence, choose growth. One small victory over weakness today becomes the foundation of an unshakable life tomorrow. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Commit, act, persist. Your future self depends on it. Number 3. Find your purpose, or be swept away by distraction. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a mind so clear, so focused that every choice you make feels deliberate, every action purposeful. Picture yourself moving through the day with the calm of a warrior, the clarity of a monk, and the unstoppable energy of someone who knows exactly where they are going. Now contrast that with reality. The alarm rings, your hand reaches for your phone, and before you even rise, you're pulled into an endless scroll. Emails, notifications, messages, all stealing pieces of your attention, leaving your mind scattered and exhausted. By nightfall, you ask yourself, where did the day go? What did I actually accomplish? And slowly, almost without realizing, life begins to feel like a river carrying you, rather than one you are steering. This above all, to thine own self be true. Shakespeare wrote it centuries ago, yet most of us live like strangers to ourselves. Distraction doesn't hit like a storm. It seeps in quietly, wrapping around your focus until you no longer recognize your own priorities. The world is built to fragment your attention, to steal your energy, to convince you that busyness equals productivity. But the truth is harsh. Most people are not defeated by lack of opportunity. They are defeated by themselves. They don't lack time. They waste it. They don't lack ability. They scatter it. Every fleeting urge, every notification, every petty frustration pulls them off course. Think of it like this. The undisciplined are leaves in a storm, tossed and turned, powerless, reactive. The purposeful? They are the mountain the storm breaks against. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The purposeful don't chase comfort, approval, or fleeting pleasures. They master themselves, and in mastering themselves, they master life. Ask yourself, where are you letting your attention be stolen? What hours have slipped away because you followed impulse instead of intention? How many moments have passed, unnoticed, while your mind drifted through the noise? This isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to awaken you. Reflection is the first step to reclaiming control, and here's the solution. Start small. Begin each day by identifying the one action that matters most. Protect your focus. Cut the noise. Guard your time like the rarest treasure, because it is. Each act of intention, repeated daily, compounds into clarity, mastery, and freedom. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom starts in the mind, moment by moment, choice by choice. Distraction is everywhere. Temptation is relentless. But your ability to rise above it depends entirely on purpose. When you know what you're aiming for, every decision becomes clear. Every temptation is weighed against what truly matters. And every day, brick by brick, choice by choice, you carve a life that no distraction can derail. If you're ready to reclaim focus, to live intentionally, and to steer your own river instead of drifting helplessly, then take one small step now. Like this video if you're committed to purpose, share it with someone who needs focus, and subscribe to join a community mastering their minds and their lives. Remember, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Choose clarity. Choose mastery. Today is the day you steer your life. Number 4, take responsibility for your choices. Imagine a life where nothing controls you, not the whims of others, not the unexpected twists of fate, not the temptations that lurk at every corner. Imagine waking up each morning with a sense of ownership so complete that every action you take, every decision you make, feels like it belongs entirely to you. Picture yourself moving through your day with clarity, with purpose, and with the quiet confidence that you alone are steering your ship. Now, contrast that with reality. The alarm goes off, and immediately blame begins to creep in. Traffic made me late. My boss is unreasonable. Life is unfair. My circumstances are against me, and before the day even truly begins, you've given away your power. This is the subtle trap most people fall into, believing that the world is responsible for their state of mind, their successes, their failures. We are quick to point outward. We justify our actions or our inaction based on circumstances beyond our control. Yet every Stoic, from Epictetus to Marcus Aurelius, knew the hard truth. It is never circumstances that enslave us, but our reaction to them. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The moment we place responsibility outside ourselves, we surrender freedom and we give away control over our own lives. Ask yourself, how often do you blame the world for where you are? How often do you say, "I can't because," or "if only," or "life is unfair"? Each time you do, you are stepping out of your own power. You're handing over your ability to act, to grow, to create, to master yourself. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It becomes a habit to avoid responsibility, to float downstream, to let life happen to you rather than with you. Now consider this. What would it mean to take full responsibility for your choices? Not just the big ones, but every small moment where impulse, emotion, or circumstance tempts you to give up your power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Responsibility starts in the mind. It starts with recognizing that while you cannot control everything around you, you can control your thoughts, your words, your actions. You may not choose the cards you're dealt, but you always choose how to play them. Taking responsibility means looking honestly at where you are right now and acknowledging your role in it. It means admitting that you may have made mistakes, that you have wasted time, that you have followed impulses rather than intention. But it is not about shame. It is about liberation. For when you truly own your actions, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your life. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we are given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill-supplied, but wasteful of it." Every choice we make compounds. Every decision builds or erodes our future. Think of it like this. The undisciplined hand their power away to excuses, to comfort, to blame. They drift, reactive and fragmented. The responsible take the helm. They acknowledge the storm, yes, but they also acknowledge the strength within. They respond with intention, not reaction. Every difficulty becomes a lesson, every challenge a chance to reinforce their mastery over themselves. The person who takes responsibility is like a captain navigating rough seas, aware, alert, and entirely accountable for every maneuver. Ask yourself, which path are you on? Are you floating, carried by forces outside your control, or are you actively steering, every decision intentional, every moment owned? It is not easy. Responsibility requires honesty. It requires courage. It requires the humility to admit your faults and the strength to correct them. But the reward is profound. Clarity, agency, and freedom. Start small. Begin by noticing the moments where you default to blame or excuse. Pause. Ask, what part of this is within my control? How can I act responsibly right now? Each time you answer that question, even in the smallest way, you reclaim a fragment of your power. Over days, weeks, and months, these small acts accumulate. You transform from a passive observer of your life into an active creator. Distractions, hardships, other people's actions, they will always exist. You cannot control them, but your choices, your actions, your mindset, those are yours alone. And when you take responsibility for them fully, you no longer drift, you rise, you shape, you lead, you live. Today is the day to take responsibility. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when life allows it. Today, because the river of life will not wait, and neither can your freedom. Stand firm, claim your choices, own your life. Number 5. Discipline is strength, not comfort. Imagine waking up each morning with a mind sharpened by choice, a body strengthened by intention, and a spirit unyielding in the face of challenge. Picture a life where your actions are not dictated by fleeting moods, desires, or convenience, but by an unwavering commitment to mastery over yourself. You rise, not because it is easy, not because the day promises comfort, but because you have decided that your strength, mental, emotional, and physical, matters more than temporary ease. Contrast that with the world most of us live in. Mornings wasted in bed, afternoons lost scrolling endlessly, evenings surrendered to distraction. Comfort lulls us into passivity, and in its soft embrace, discipline becomes foreign. The truth is stark. Comfort is seductive, but it weakens. Discipline, by contrast, is strength forged through discomfort. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The wasted hours are those surrendered to the lure of the easiest choice. Skipping the workout, ignoring a difficult conversation, scrolling another hour instead of writing that page, all are comforts masquerading as harmless acts, but they quietly erode our power, leaving us smaller, weaker, less capable than we could be. Ask yourself, when was the last time you chose what was hard because it mattered? How often do you opt for what feels good now at the expense of the person you could become tomorrow? Marcus Aurelius warned, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Each discomfort you face willingly, each challenge you meet instead of avoiding, becomes a stepping stone toward unshakable resilience. Strength is not a gift. It is built in moments of resistance, in choosing purpose over ease, in saying yes to growth when your body or mind whispers, "No." Think of it like this. A muscle grows not when it rests, but when it is pushed to its limits. The mind, the character, and they will operate the same way. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your capacity for focus, endurance, and moral courage. The Stoics understood this intimately. Epictetus reminded us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Mastery is not achieved in the warmth of convenience, but in the crucible of deliberate effort, repeated day after day. Now reflect. What comforts have you allowed to define your life? Which habits of avoidance have dulled your potential? And what would it feel like to reclaim your mornings, your attention, your energy, by deliberately choosing the path of challenge? Discipline is not about punishment. It is about power. It is not about joyless rigidity. It is about freedom through self-command. Each act of intentional effort, whether waking early, speaking truth, facing discomfort, or completing a task when you don't feel like it, is a vote for the person you are becoming. Discipline is a shield against chaos, a forge for character, a declaration that your life will not be dictated by convenience. Every small, deliberate choice compound, shaping a mind that is unshakable, a body that is reliable, and a life that is meaningful. The pursuit of comfort, by contrast, offers fleeting relief but permanent weakness. Ask yourself, do you want to be a leaf tossed by the winds of desire or a mountain unbroken by storms? Start now. Choose one action today that is hard but right. Step into the discomfort and feel your strength grow. Let this practice ripple through every decision, every interaction, every habit. For discipline is not suffering. It is freedom. It is not burden. It is empowerment. It is not comfort. It is strength. Remember, every moment you resist the easy, every moment you act with intention, every moment you prioritize growth over pleasure, you are building the life of a warrior, a philosopher, a person unshakable in mind, body, and spirit. Today is your chance. Choose strength. Choose discipline. Choose yourself. Number 6. Contrast your current reality. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a mind so clear, so sharp, so focused that every decision you make feels deliberate, every action purposeful. You rise from bed, not pulled by habit, not drawn by distraction, but guided by intention. Picture moving through the morning with calm certainty, each step measured, each thought aligned with your highest priorities. Your energy is not scattered, your attention is not stolen. Every moment is yours to shape. Now pause and contrast that with reality. The alarm rings. Your hand reaches automatically for your phone. One scroll becomes 10, then 20, then an hour disappears into an endless feed of notifications, messages, and updates you didn't even need. Emails demand your attention, alerts ping insistently, ads tempt with every click, and before you even have breakfast, your focus has been pulled in a dozen directions at once. The morning, meant for clarity and creation, has evaporated. By noon, you notice fatigue creeping in. Not physical exhaustion, but the subtle depletion of attention and purpose. By evening, you ask yourself, where did the day go? What did I actually accomplish? How much of this was intentional, and how much did I simply drift through? Slowly, almost imperceptibly, life begins to feel like a river carrying you instead of one you are steering. This, above all, to thine own self be true, Shakespeare wrote. Yet how many of us live like strangers to ourselves, letting fleeting impulses dictate our actions, letting distractions steal our hours, and giving away the one resource that can never be regained. Attention. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, but in the face of endless noise, do we truly believe this? Or do we surrender our power unknowingly, hour by hour? Distraction doesn't arrive as a storm. It creeps quietly, wrapping itself around your intentions until you no longer recognize your own priorities. Every notification, every trivial interruption, every fleeting desire is a small wind that tilts the boat of your day. The world is built to fragment attention, to make busyness feel like productivity, and to convince you that reacting is the same as living. But the truth cuts deep. Most people are not defeated by lack of opportunity. They are defeated by themselves. They do not lack time. They waste it. They do not lack ability. They scatter it. Every moment surrendered to distraction, every impulse followed, every urge indulged chips away at their clarity and control. Think of it this way. The undisciplined are like leaves caught in a storm, tossed, powerless, reactive, unable to direct their path. The purposeful, on the other hand, are mountains against which the storm breaks. No matter how fierce the winds, they remain rooted, steady, and unshaken. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The difference between a life dominated by distraction and a life led by purpose is not luck. It is not circumstance. It is mastery over your mind, cultivated deliberately, moment by moment, choice by choice. Ask yourself, which reality dominates your life? Where are you giving away your attention, your time, your energy? How many hours have slipped through your fingers because you reacted rather than acted, scrolled rather than created, followed impulse rather than intention? How many days have been stolen by the trivial, leaving the meaningful unfinished? This reflection is not meant to shame, it is meant to awaken. Awareness is the first step toward reclaiming control. Only when you see clearly how much of your life has been spent reacting instead of acting, can you begin to close the gap between your current reality and your potential. The solution begins with small, deliberate choices. Start each day by identifying the one action that matters most, the task that will advance your life instead of merely filling your time. Protect your focus as if it were gold. Cut the noise that demands your attention unnecessarily. Guard your energy fiercely. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. Distractions, temptations, and interruptions are the obstacles through which mastery is forged. By facing them deliberately, not avoiding them, you begin to strengthen your mind and reclaim control over your own life. Every act of intention, repeated daily, compounds into clarity, focus, and self-mastery. Every moment of distraction resisted is a vote for the person you are becoming. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Each small, purposeful choice is a step toward reclaiming the river of your life, steering it where you want it to go, rather than being swept helplessly downstream. The contrast between your current reality and the life you could lead is striking. One is passive, reactive, and exhausting. The other is active, deliberate, and empowering. But the bridge between them is simple. awareness, and action. Recognize the ways distraction steals your time. See clearly the value of every hour. Decide what matters most and commit to protecting it relentlessly. Let each decision be guided not by fleeting impulses, but by conscious purpose. This is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about claiming what is yours to master, your attention, your focus, your energy. With each day lived deliberately, you reinforce your power. With each act of purpose, you inch closer to the life of clarity, calm, and unshakable focus you have imagined. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you transform. Today is the day to contrast your current reality with the life you could be living. Today is the day to see the river for what it is and take the oar into your own hands. Today is the day to stop drifting and start steering. Number 7. Recognize and resist internal enemies. Imagine standing in a quiet room, alone with your thoughts, yet surrounded by enemies you cannot see. These enemies do not wield swords, they do not speak, they whisper, they nudge, they trick you into surrender. They live within you. Fear, doubt, laziness, indecision, envy, and the endless chatter of distraction. They are subtle, invisible, and relentless. The Stoics called these internal enemies the true battlefield, for mastery over them determines mastery over life itself. Ask yourself, how often have you felt paralyzed not by circumstance, but by your own mind? How often have you wanted to act, only to be stopped by hesitation, self-criticism, or the endless internal debate over whether it's the right time? Marcus Aurelius warned, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your greatest enemies are not out there in the world. They are inside, eroding your resolve, draining your energy, and convincing you that you are weaker than you truly are. Think of it like this. Every fleeting thought of self-doubt, every temptation to procrastinate, every moment you justify comfort over effort, it is an attack on your potential. These internal enemies thrive on inaction. They grow stronger when you avoid responsibility, when you delay decisions, when you chase immediate pleasure over lasting growth. And the more you feed them, the more they control your life, steering your choices like an unseen puppeteer. But here is the hard truth. Recognition is the first step to resistance. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You cannot fight what you do not acknowledge. You must identify these internal enemies, name them, understand their patterns, and confront them with clarity. Is it fear that prevents you from starting? Is it laziness that pulls you toward comfort? Is it doubt that paralyzes your decisions? Naming them strips them of their unseen power and brings them into the light of conscious awareness. Now ask yourself, when an internal enemy arises, how do you respond? Do you surrender, argue, or distract yourself? Or do you face it directly, with intention and courage? Stoics trained themselves to observe these impulses without being ruled by them. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Often, the fear and doubt we feel are shadows, illusions magnified by inattention. Awareness is the weapon, reflection is the shield. The solution is deliberate practice. Begin each day with awareness of your internal state. Notice the first stirrings of doubt, the first pangs of desire to escape effort, the subtle whispers that say, later or not now. Resist these impulses not through force alone, but through alignment with your higher values. Every moment you act with intention, every time you choose effort over avoidance, you strike a blow against the internal enemies that would keep you small. Imagine a life where you no longer react to fear, where laziness does not dictate your schedule, where distraction cannot hijack your attention. Imagine moving through each day deliberately, consciously, with clarity and purpose. This is the freedom that comes from recognizing and resisting internal enemies. Every choice to act, to persist, to endure, to focus, sharpens your mind, strengthens your character, and builds an unshakable inner fortress. Ask yourself, which internal enemy controls your decisions today? How will you resist it? How will you turn inaction into action, fear into courage, distraction into focus? Remember, the battlefield is within, and victory belongs to those who fight consistently, consciously, and with unwavering commitment. Start small, but start now. Each moment of resistance, each act of self-control, each deliberate decision builds the habits, mindset, and fortitude necessary to master not just your day, but your life. One day, the internal enemies that once ruled you will bow to the strength you forged. You will look back and realize, freedom was never given. It was claimed moment by moment, choice by choice. Number 8. Anchor in community and accountability. Imagine standing alone on a path strewn with challenges, distractions, and doubts. Every step forward feels heavier, every decision more fragile. You push yourself day after day, but the fatigue, uncertainty, and temptation always lurk nearby. Now imagine a different reality. You are not alone. Around you are fellow travelers, people who share your struggles, your goals, and your commitment to growth. Their presence acts as an anchor, holding you steady when your own resolve wavers. They are mirrors, teachers, and reminders that self-discipline is not only an internal battle, it thrives in connection and accountability. Ask yourself, how often have you tried to tackle your ambitions alone? How many times have you started a habit, a project, or a goal only to falter because there was no one watching, no one cheering, no one expecting you to keep your word? The Stoics understood the importance of community in shaping character. Epictetus said, "We are not isolated beings." The flourishing of one depends on the flourishing of all. Even the greatest masters of self-discipline recognized that humans are social creatures, wired to respond to encouragement, expectation, and shared purpose. Isolation may strengthen resolve temporarily, but it cannot sustain it through life's storms. Think of accountability like the ballast in a ship. Alone, your efforts can be tossed about by waves of distraction and doubt. Surrounded by a community, your actions are steadied. Each conversation, each shared commitment, each check-in is a weight that keeps your vessel upright. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the value of peers, advisors, and mentors. He wrote, "When you wake in the morning, tell yourself, I will meet today with people who are unreasonable, arrogant, or ungrateful, but I will maintain my virtue through reason and through connection. Accountability isn't about judgment. It's about support, alignment, and shared purpose." Now ask yourself, who do you allow to shape your habits? Are your peers empowering your discipline or undermining it? Are you surrounded by whispers of excuse or voices of action? True community challenges complacency. It encourages growth. It rewards consistency and calls out avoidance. By anchoring yourself to others who uphold the standards you aspire to, you elevate your own commitment. Your failures are seen, reflected, and corrected, not punished but guided. Start small. Seek someone whose presence inspires consistency. Share your intentions, your habits, your goals. Check in regularly. Celebrate victories, however small. Reflect together on the days you fall short. Over time, these shared practices reinforce identity, build momentum, and cultivate resilience. Seneca reminded us, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Accountability is not coercion. It is a catalyst for self-mastery. Think of a rower alone against the current versus a team in sync. oars moving together, pulling toward the same horizon. One is vulnerable to fatigue and doubt. The other harnesses collective strength, maintaining speed, direction, and focus. Your journey of self-discipline is the same. Anchoring yourself in community and accountability transforms isolation into collaboration, struggle into progress, and intention into action. Finally, recognize that community is not just external. It shapes your internal landscape. Knowing someone else is observing, expecting, and supporting you strengthens willpower, sharpens focus, and makes consistency inevitable. Each small action becomes not only a personal victory, but a contribution to a shared culture of growth. Your individual discipline strengthens the network, and the network strengthens you in return. So, take one step today. Anchor yourself in a group, a friend, a mentor, or a circle dedicated to growth. Make your intentions public. Invite accountability. Connect, reflect, and elevate together. Your habits, your focus, your resilience. Everything improves when it is shared and reinforced. And if you're ready to commit, to rise above distraction, and to strengthen your self-discipline through connection, join a community of like-minded individuals. Like, share, and subscribe to join a community dedicated to unshakable self-discipline. Anchor yourself and let your momentum multiply. Together, you will rise higher than you ever could alone.